Check it. It's time to empower the women and educate the men. This is the calling that God has begun with two individuals he destined to win. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack as we speak some facts guaranteed to impact your life. Your destiny is God-given right. So listen up as we speak some truth to you, guaranteed to make sure you
live your life to the fullness. Make sure you are winning, never quitting on yourself. Live your life to the fullness. Make sure you are winning, never quitting on yourself.
What's up, family? Happy New Year! Happy New Year! We are back. We are back. Happy New Year to you. And as you see, it's a new season. We coming in strong. We're going to start our first show off real strong. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. I am C, the chiropractor Morgan, your alignment coach, and welcome. Good to see you.
And I'm King Harrison, the psychological coach. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to, man, this is going to be a great one. And see, what is this subject today?
Setting myself free from 2023.
I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is actually C's phrase for the year. But I said, you know what, C, we need to make that a show. And we're going to do it. And like this is, and we here, we ready to do it. So setting myself free from 2023. Yes, sir. And you know what? And it's not always bad either. You know, it's sometimes, sometimes we can crystallize our great moments and stay stuck there and not move past and be greater than with what we did last year. So it's not all negative. It's a two side to this coin, but we really want to set ourselves free from 2023. And we're going to give you some steps to do it. We're going to talk about both of them. Y'all know how we roll. We're going to be real. We're going to be real. And I'm going to give you the psychological, analytical chaos part of it because I have finally gotten my degree. so now we're going to go. I'm going to talk to y'all from the psychological part now. Yes, sir. Yay! Woo-hoo! Celebrating. So that's a blessing. But I start the second half of that in February. So okay, now what happens usually? See, every New Year, everybody start with that whole my resolution, and it's always I'm gonna go to the gym.
That's every the first time. One.
Every time I'm gonna eat better. Every single time. It's always
good intentions, but
it's great intentions, but man, it's like that can't be always the go-to, bro. Like it's like you got to do something. The thing about it is, we have, and I'm guilty of it too. We have really been operating in insanity, honestly, because we all do the same thing, and we expect different results. And what pans out is we don't get them different results we talking about.
Commitment. That's the commitment to keep the quote unquote resolution, New Year's resolution. To me, it's just
yeah, it just. So this year we're gonna make sure. Well, today we're gonna talk about how to make your year better. And the main thing is be free of last year. That's it. That's a simple fix. It's like you have to be free of last year. All your decisions from last year, everything. Start fresh. And like I said, it go both ways. So all your accomplishment, congratulations, you did it. Now, let's do better. All the things you failed at, okay, you failed. What's the lesson learned? It's like set yourself free from 2023. Set yourself free from all the limitations that was in 2023. Set yourself free from that mindset that you had in 2023. Set yourself free and be free. And if you had to clear the air with some people, hey, congratulations. Do it. But
And
set
get some peace
yourself
for
free.
you, basically.
Yeah, clear the air. See, let's talk about clearing the air. Let's talk about clearing the air.
A lot of it, well, what I usually do every year is, especially when I go into a new year, is basically speak on topics, speak to people, speak to things that gives me some peace of situations that have occurred. Maybe you're not talking to people. Maybe you've refused to communicate. Maybe the relationship needs a different turn. It just depends what is needed to give yourself, or even for myself, a little bit of peace going into the new year. And that's one things that I did. And you do become vulnerable because you don't sit and worry about the reactions that you're going to get. You're doing it for you. So you have to become vulnerable with it. You have to be okay with it and confident that this is for you. Keyword is for you. You're doing it to in a sense, set yourself free. Partially, it could be partially, starting a cycle. You're starting a cycle to break the chains, to break the bondage that you kept yourself in, you allowed others to help keep you in. And it can hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable, but if it's starting a new cycle, a new change. We talk about, like he said, insanity. What are we going to do to change that result? What are we going to do to take those other steps? So just speaking on it, and don't talk so broadly. Talk in first person. I feel this way. These are my opinions, my thoughts. This is my perspective, which we know there's more than one perspective to a situation that you're in, or something that has taken place, a conversation. We all perceive things differently and take it in differently. We receive it differently. So that's what makes a difference, that your feelings matter. Your thoughts actually matter when you have these conversations. But you have to set yourself free in a sense of, I did this enough for me to stay focused, to clear my head for my mental health aspect of it. And it is leaving it in last year, but you still have to continue if you start to break a chain. If you broke loose for something, if you're doing something that really just broke your heart, that you really truly didn't want to do, but you've tried everything else, so you have to try something else. What is going to help you move forward into the next year? And it doesn't have to be New Year's when this happens. This can happen the next day, the next month. It's just something that I do when we all self-reflect. King and I self-reflect quite a bit, but this is something that I have implemented at the end of the year. What have I left just hanging there? What pieces, what residual may have I left? And then some things I have to address, because some things I wasn't able to address last year, but I'm going to address this year. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to let the past keep being my present. I'm making my present of healing the past. That's how you deal with that. You heal the past, or things that are bothering you. You speak on it. It may not be the outcome you want, but you spoke on it. You addressed it. And that's the first step, is to address it and speak on it. Bring it to light, because you keep keeping it in the dark. So bring it to light, to surface, and then don't worry about what the outcome's going to be. And the other thing is the reaction. How are you going to react to what is said? You have to sit and understand on both sides. We always talk about understanding the other person, but you can't have unity if you don't have you. When you're trying to change these things, and that's the most important thing. When you have to know you have to understand you, and be okay that, yes, this is something new that I'm doing, but hey, it's going to be the betterment for me. And that's some things of changing, of setting yourself free of some of these bonds, some of these change, some of these cycles that you want to see change. Sometimes you have to be that change agent. You have to begin to speak up. You have to implement some new family traditions, so to speak. You have to go beyond the great beyond your divine, your faith. What do you actually truly want to change? And we talk about change, but you have to have commitment to the change, commitment throughout the year, every quarter, every month. What are you going to commit to really make that change happen? And change, there's two things. I was listening to actually a video, and it says there, I can't remember the other thing right now. Oh, yes, I do. Two things that were always going to be there and never leave, which is change and time. They're constantly revolving and evolving. So, what are you going to do with those two things to make your time here, your gift, purposeful? What are you going to do? And to me, that's some of setting yourself free, realizing that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm sorry, I'm doing some behind the scenes stuff that I need to do. Make sure pick Bible listen all the Hey, you know what? It's so funny when you be saying stuff like you need you for unity. I like
Yes.
so in my head I was like, so what is you? What is unity without the you? And all I got was nitty. And then I
Well, well, take the N off. You just have the I in the beginning of it. So I mean, you have the I, but
I always think about nitty gritty. So yeah, okay. I'm back now. No, that was what you were saying. Very powerful. A lot of times we do get stuck in the failures. You talked about that. The failures, we get stuck there, and then like I said, you release stuff. That was good. You got to release what you felt, how you felt, and you can't necessarily be concerned about how the other person is going to receive what you're saying, because honestly, you have to take care of you. It's not sometimes, we I'm guilty of this because of how my heart is. Sometimes we think about the other people, but we suffer because we
yeah,
think about the other people, and we hold on to things that we need to really release. And then sometimes because we don't want to be confrontational, we kind of slide back, and then we be like, okay, they may not see me the same way, or if I be like this, I may lose. And honestly, we have to get past that thought and understand that you have to take care of you. If you are feeling a certain type of way and you just holding on to it, and you're not letting that person know, you're not giving that person an opportunity to release you
right,
from it,
right.
because you holding something in. And you know what? Unbeknownst to them, they might even not even know. And then you always around them, and they thinking everything is cool, but you're just holding on to something, and you like everything ain't cool. So every time they say something, it's just like you looking at them sideways, but you smiling. They think everything good. Nah, free yourself. Free yourself, man. Free yourself in 2023. That's not who you're gonna be this year. Let that
We have
stuff
mind
out.
reading. We expect mind reading when that happens too, and like you said, they may not always know or even
They don't.
remember for that matter, because it could have been so long ago that you've been holding on to this nugget for so long, and you've been suffered in silence that you
Yeah.
can't even resolve it because they don't know. And so more and more things are happening, more and more is building up right now. So what are you left with? You're left with this ant hill that's became a mountain because you didn't want to sit there and chop the hill down and just stand there and stand at the mountain and say, hey, I'm going to face you, I'm going to move this mountain right now because
Yeah.
this is in my way and I'm suffering. So taking those little steps to climb that mountain helps you to release, even though it's bit by bit, long as you are focusing on that, taking pieces back to you, taking your
Hmm.
own pieces back that you gave out, to
Yeah.
reclaim those back and claim some new ones on top of it,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
you excel and you walk a new path.
Yeah. Some of y'all still stuck. Got pieces of y'all stuck in 2013. Y'all need to go get that for real. I mean, it's just because people just let stuff fester instead of dealing with it. And what happens is, from the psychology part of it, you was raised to do it that way because you saw that. You saw how, that thing, man, I promise you, I had to break that off my life. What happens in my house stays in my house. I had to break that off my life because that caused problems for me. It taught me how to be secretive, one, and it taught me how to hold in things. Like
Yeah.
it really did. And I'm like, yo, I had to literally break that off my life because it's not good for you to, and I got that going on in my family right now. It's not good for you to just try to hold things and say you actually hurting and you actually going through something and you actually doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
When you have people that's in your family or that's around you that are called and that are gifted to deal with that very thing you're dealing with, but you choose to deal with it by yourself because you have that whole mentality. What happens in this house stays in this house. That's ridiculous. And
Or talking about my feelings, I'm gonna look weak, or
yeah.
I'm gonna be vulnerable, which you are gonna be vulnerable, but to me, being vulnerable and that truth and transparency that you can have in that conversation, you're not trying to fix it. You're
Mm-mm.
just bringing awareness to it. Now, what comes after it, so be it. But I think just staying focused and not saying I'm going to fix the situation, you can address it, especially if it's nonsense. A lot of time that is occurring. So you just create the atmosphere, the safe, secure atmosphere that we talk about to have the conversation, and make sure that you check your own feelings, because sometimes our feelings do fog up the conversation. I mean, you have to feel them, but then are you not trying to hear what they're saying because automatically you got defensive, you block them out, you don't want to listen, as we say, the stonewall. Now it's the silent treatment that they're getting. There's a difference in giving somebody space and then
Mm-hmm.
stonewalling. What you're doing, that is the stonewalling base is a toxic aspect of it, when you're
Right.
ignoring somebody and you're just refusing to communicate that aspect. There's always a healthy way to do things besides a toxic way. Just things you talked about, King, when you're saying how it's in our family. It's been imprinted us since we were younger
Right.
to react this way.
Right.
And when we see that we're reacting this way, we have to check ourselves. Hey, we do self checks.
Yeah.
This, I'm reacting the wrong way. Unhealthy way, I'm going to say, because people are going to say it's not wrong because that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
So when you become, like I say, it becomes wrong, you become aware of it and you continuously do it. But are you trying to make that change, that growth, that development, and that improvement? Then that's when it's like, okay, I'm building a new habit. I'm building another healthy way for our coping mechanisms. What are our coping mechanisms too? The ones that we did back there, it's not a time to dwell on what we did incorrectly last year. It's like, what did we try? What worked? Let's take those things that worked and let's move forward. Let's learn from what we didn't like, how this panned out. Learn from any relationship you were in, whether it's business or personal. How do you want to be? How do you want to, as I said before, how do you want to utilize change? Change. Use time in a purposeful manner.
Mm-hmm. But this is the thing, see, this is what I learned through my journey, and like I said, I'm a great ways, but I'm still got a little bit to go. In my psychological journey, I learned this: we are asking people to be psychologists and be therapists, and they don't know how. They are dealing with their own thing. I learned a lot just going through my classes and stuff, getting my degree. I learned a lot of stuff that I did not know. One thing I learned was I was programmed to think a certain way. I had implicit biases that I didn't even know I had. And so I learned that going through school and going through the training and going through tests and writing these papers. Now, just imagine that people that not going the way I went, and they are operating in implicit biases and don't even know it. And so all their information and all their advice are based on a bias. And
Right.
when you challenge that bias, it's like, oh, you challenging me. And when you look, and I had to do that. I had to go through myself. When I did the constructive criticism, I had to go through each and everything and say, do I like this because somebody told me to like this? Or do I actually like this? Do I give this advice because I actually believe in what I'm saying? Because this is what I learned. And it's changing, and I want to say this, it's not changing. This is not a racist statement. I'm not racist, nothing like that, or prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced, as we use that. So, but, however, the former psychology training was teaching us how to be a good enough white psychologist. It didn't include the black and the brown. It didn't include none of that. It didn't include the Asian. It didn't include, all it was a medical base. How much medicine I can give you to be quiet so I didn't deal with it. Now it's becoming holistic. They are incorporating the spiritual. They're incorporating different races. They're incorporating all these things. And now you think about that now. Imagine that. They just started this probably about I think it was like 10 years ago. Now, before that, prior to that, think about all the people who went to therapists that wasn't white and how jacked up they are now because of a basis of what it was. Now, when you think about therapy, and like I said, now therapy is a new age thing. Now everybody like it, like it's the social media, but not everybody is capable of actually having a sound, unbiased conversation with you. And so when you come to them and say, express, because I'm setting you up for this part. So when you come and be vulnerable to somebody, please understand they're not therapists. Their reaction is going to be their reaction. It's going to be crazy probably. But the part of it is release that off of you. Get it off of you. Like I said, people do not know that you have harbored feelings of bitterness towards them. They don't even know. They don't even believe they did nothing wrong to you because of implicit biases. Because they don't think what they did is wrong. It's things that me and my wife go back and forth. We was raised different. She was raised in a 2-parent home, single-parent home. We have both different dynamics of when it comes to marriage and when it comes to different things, child rearing. We got a different dynamic. However, though, what help us is we talk about it. And we go through therapy to help us merge the different biases that will benefit a household. Now, is everybody doing that? No, they're not. And that's unfortunate. But we got to give you the truth. But you have to let this stuff get off of you. You have to release yourself from all this turmoil that you carry. You've been carrying this for years. We just said set yourself free with 22 and 3. But you all the way back in 2008, really. But we're just trying to help you. We just we ain't want to dig too deep. That costs you. You're going to have to holler at us on offline. But we just trying to help you from last year. Because you got to set yourself free. You really do. You gotta release all this stuff, man, that you carry year after year after year after year. Listen, if you feel a certain type of way, say it. And just because, like C said, I like what C said. They not mind readers. And for y'all people, that's in the church, just because a person have a gift for discernment, they don't mean they're going to discern that. Just because they have a prophetic gift, don't mean they're going to be able to see that. You got to open your mouth. See the Bible, if you read the Bible for real, in Corinthians, it say we see in part. We see in part. We don't see the whole thing. When it's all said and done, we'll see the whole thing. We'll see the big picture. But right now, those who have those gifts, they only see in part. They don't see the whole thing. So release yourself from you.
One thing I did read when you talk about counseling or counselors and therapy is what I read was therapy is for a lot like your past, and then the counseling is for your present, what's going on in the present. I mean, they are both ones of, facilitator, one is a short term, but one helps you like in your shadow work. One helps you more with it, more or less. The therapist helps you with that. Now, counselors, they can address some of that, like what coping mechanisms that you presently use that don't serve you anymore. But a lot of times the words are interchangeable. They're used interchangeable, but the definition is incorrect that we think of a lot of times with some of the words.
But what they're doing now, though, they're trying to intertwine all of them in one.
Yes.
Because now, like I said, what I had to go through, I had to learn how to be able to, what you just said, do the shadow work. Mm-hmm. Then also deal with your past, the genealogy, make you do a genealogy, then bring you up to speed to how to cope, then write your program. I literally just, like, they really drilled that. They were more concerned about the holistic approach than I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even hear, and I know they talked about it a little bit, but they were so focused on the holistic approach and where did this originate from? And trying to get you to see it, how this originated in you and how you can deal with it going forward. So it's like they intertwining it. They trying to get away from the medical part of it, where they always put you on the medicine. That's the goal now. They trying to get away from that, trying to really deal with, because you got to think about it. How can you really put a prescription on emotions, really? Because that's really what they was doing. They medicating emotions. They medicating something that happened that really need to be talked through. How can they, but they, what they were doing was medicating. A lot of things is if you think about it, we do this all the time. If we really talk through our trauma and we walk through the triggers and we get new triggers to respond, how to respond to them triggers, we change the dynamics of how that thing was how that happened. Like we talk about our traumas all the time, how we do what we do now from our traumas and how we use our traumas now to benefit people. But before we were able to do that, we had to go talk that through. We had to really, like G said, communicate. And a lot of times, if you think about it, if we look at everything in the aspects of this side, now I ain't talking about, you know, that's another